Hey there, Chris here from It's Mead Made, and today, well, we're talking Bambu Studio because they just rolled out their version 2.2. And there's some really cool features in this release. Honestly, there's just way too much to get into in this one video. So, I'm going to go ahead and split it into two parts. I'm also not going to be covering every tiny little update, just the ones that I really think that can make a difference in your 3D prints. So, let's not waste any more time and let's get into this. So what if you could spot warping, sagging, or even weak spots before you even hit print? One of the standout features in this release is the integration of the Helio Additive's thermal simulation. I think I said it right. You can enable it in the preferences, slice your model as usual, then run a simulation that shows where your print might be too hot, too cold, or just right. It even overlays the results right on your model. This cuts down the failed prints and improves your strength and accuracy, and it lets you know where your prints might fail before wasting all of those hours of printing. So let me show you how that works in Bambu Studio. Okay, so let's talk about the Helio Additive simulation integration. Sorry, that's a mouthful for me to say. But let's talk about this. So the first thing is you need to figure out how to actually activate it. And you're going to have to claim a key. Now, the key here, pun intended totally, is they only are giving out 1,000 of these keys. So you gotta try to claim yours. Now, what you're gonna do is come up here to the top left corner, then we're gonna go to Preferences. Once we're at our Preferences, we're gonna scroll down, and all the way down here, you can see Helio options. Now, for me, this is what mine looks like, but for yours, you might have to say claim key or register. I forget what the button said, but that's what you're going to be doing right here. Then once you've claimed it, it's going to give you your little serial number and everything. Now, here's the thing. Like I said, Helio Simulations is giving away these beta keys for free. And they're limited access keys. Now, these are available globally, and when they're all claimed, essentially, it's going to be paused, so nobody else can sign up. But after the next phase, they're going to be giving out more keys, so I would just keep an eye out if you try and it's not available. So once you have your key claimed, all you have to do is come up here to slice. Then once you have sliced your file, so I'm using this little benchy, I am going to come up here and I have Helio simulation right here now. I still have all of the same things where I can look at my line type and everything like that. Then once I click it, I am going to get this pop-up. And this is where we have to put in our temperatures. So what I want to do is I want to see the flux of my temperatures. So I'm going to say 50 degrees Celsius to 70 degrees Celsius, just to kind of get an idea. Then I'm going to hit confirm. Now what it's going to do is it is going to prepare your sliced file and give you that simulation directly on top of your sliced file. And this is going to be able to show you the gamut of how hot and how cold your filament is getting during the 3D printing process. Now, while this is going on, there's a few things that I think are important to make sure you understand about this. Now, it is only available on the Bambu Lab X1, X1C, X1E, and H2D. So only those printers. So you got to make sure that if you have these printers, you can sign up for a key because it's going to be useful for you. Now, if it was me and I didn't have one of these printers, I probably wouldn't even sign up for one of these keys. That way, the people that really could use it can get them. But also, when we're talking about the supported filaments, there are only a certain amount of filaments that it can support. And it is Basic PLA, PLA Matte, PLA Silk Plus, PLA Light, also Bambu ABS, PC, PETG HF, and TPU 95A HF. Now, those are the big ones that will be supported. And also, I need to mention, all of those are only Bambu filaments. So if I went to generic filaments right here, it would not be supported and I wouldn't be able to do this. So now we can actually see our little simulation directly on our 3D print. And you can see right here in the column, we have our thermal index. And this reads just like all of our other things in our slicer. So 100 means it's real hot, negative it means it's real cold, and 0 is green, and that is kind of like our perfect like simulation right there. That is where we want everything to be at that 0. So we want everything nice and green, and you can see, well, this is really blue in some areas. And that's really what we need to fix. Now, the big thing here also that I think is really worth mentioning, there's a lot of things worth mentioning with this thing, is this is really just limited right now. It is only showing us thermal simulations only. That's it. Now, in the future releases, they say that they're going to be giving us some G-code optimization, which means it's going to be doing this, and we click optimize or something like that, and then it's automatically going to change all of our settings to make this work better and have a cleaner print, to be able to fix like our overhangs, anything that's going to droop or sag, or maybe those layers that aren't adhering very well together because of like the heat. So this is a really exciting tool that is coming. More is coming, but I think it's going to change a lot. But for right now, you can only see like, you know, a cool little banding right here, and that's it. There's not much you can do. But it is worth looking at and even changing your layer heights and things like that to see how it affects your 3D prints. And one other thing worth mentioning is this does not work for multicolor prints. It is only for single color prints. So if you're trying to do this with a multicolor print, you're out of luck and it won't even allow you to simulate it. Have you ever had a 3D print with multiple objects and one part just failed and you wish you could just stop that one thing instead of going all the way through? Well, now remote object skipping is available right inside Bambu Studio. During a print, you can select the specific part you want to stop printing without touching the machine. Now, this is a huge time saver, and no more babysitting and throwing away an entire plate because of one failed object. Now, let me go ahead and show you how to do this inside Bambu Studio. All right, this next feature is kind of an add-on to an existing feature. Now, for those of you with an X1 series or the new H2D 3D printer, you are able to skip over parts that fail on your build plate right on the interface of the 3D printer. But this new update is even nicer because you no longer have to be directly in front of your 3D printer to skip over a failed print on your build plate. You can do that from Bambu Studio directly now when you are on the device tab and going through what you're printing, and you can see it right here. So I've got some Crystal Dragons printing, and right here, this one right up front, it actually came off right here, and the adhesion just didn't stick for some reason. I probably didn't wash my bed good enough, but you can see that it's just spitting filament out right there, and I can't have that. I don't want to stop this entire 3D print because I have 3 other dragons right here that are printing beautifully. It's just this one spitting out this spaghetti right here for me. So all we have to do to be able to skip over is we click right here on the skip parts button. So I'm going to click on that. Then it's going to load up these files. So I can see here are my different files right here. And I can either zoom in to look closely, so if we have a lot of small parts, and I can also use my hand to pan around. Now, if I want to select an assembly, all I have to do is click on it, but I can also select them all here, and I can just uncheck as well. But this is the one that's messed up, because you can see on my corner of my build plate right here, it's this one on the bottom left, or the front left corner, and this is the same orientation. So I can see here, this is the front, and this is the left corner. So I'm just going to click on this, then all we do is hit skip. Then it's going to say, hey, we're going to be skipping over one object, and this cannot be undone, because once we do this, it's not going to go back to this print. So let's go ahead and click continue. And that's literally it. So now it's going to skip over this model right here that has failed. Now this is especially nice because being in Bambu Studio now, if you have a laptop, you can open that laptop anywhere, log in, and see what is going on with your printer through the camera. And if something's messing up and you can tell where it's at, you can just click this little button and now it won't print that anymore, and you don't have to scrap your entire build plate. Because it was just awesome that this happened. I hate the failure, but this is like, I had to hurry up and record this as soon as this failure happened, because it's a perfect example. Because I'm printing these, and I don't want to throw away the other 3 dragons. So that is pretty much this feature in a nutshell. So before we jump into the next feature, a quick reminder. The doors to the 3D Print Guild are closed right now. But you can still jump on the waitlist. The Guild is my private community where we go deeper into 3D printing, 3D modeling, and painting our 3D prints. We've got live calls every month, extra training, and resources that you're not going to find here on YouTube. So, if you want to get notified the next time the doors are open, hop on the waitlist with the link down below in the description. Alright, let's get into something more creative when it comes to these updates. Fuzzy skin painting. Yeah, you heard that right. So if you want to hide those layer lines or just add some fun texture to your prints, you can now paint fuzz right onto your 3D model. The new fuzzy skin painting tool works like a brush. You can paint texture onto the sides of your model, and it won't affect the top or the bottom. It's just for looks. It can also improve grip and help hide imperfections in your prints. So let me go ahead and show you this new tool in Bambu Studio. I personally think out of all of the new updates, this one is probably the one I'm going to be using most. And this is all about fuzzy skin. So let me show you first how to just enable regular fuzzy skin so you're aware of what the old versus the new is going to be. Now, I'm going to go ahead and switch over here to my process and click Objects so I can edit each one individually. So I'm going to click on this one, and I am going to go to my others. Then I'm going to go to fuzzy skin right here in special mode, and I'm going to do all walls. And I'm just going to leave it at that. Now, let me go ahead and slice this, and I'm going to show you the difference here. So you can see fuzzy skin kind of, it almost vibrates the nozzle as it's making it. And it looks kind of nuts. And I really like it in certain applications because it really does hide layer lines and it just gives this really cool texture to things. But it's only on walls. It is not on top and bottom layers. So you can kind of see here, it messes with the contour, but that is really it. Now, if we look over here, this one is perfectly fine. So let's use this one and start messing with our new fuzzy skin painting tool. So we're going to go ahead and click on this guy. And if we come all the way up here, we see this new icon, and it's a box with little zag lines, like zigzag lines on the sides. So I'm going to go ahead and click on that. And here's the thing. This works just like any of our painting tools. So you can see we've got our circle, our sphere, our triangle, and our fill. Now, this is pretty much it right here. Those are all of the things, and we can adjust when it comes to this, what our size is, so we can see that, and our circle. And remember, when it comes to shortcuts, they're pretty much all the same. So Control and scroll wheel will make it bigger or smaller. And also, when we hold Alt, that is going to mess with our section view. So we can adjust our section view. And then when it comes to our circle as well. Now, remember our triangle tool, that is not an adjustment in any way. It's just selecting the triangles in the model. When it comes to our fill, if we hold Control, we can adjust like how sensitive it is. And I'm going to go ahead and really work on this here and see what we can get. And there we go. I think I'm going to do it like that. So first I'm going to show you with a sphere tool. And we're going to decrease this, and right on the side here, I'm just going to draw a line, and then you can see it turns blue. Now, if I right-click, you can see it's going to erase it, just like the regular brush tools. So, like, this is a lot like the seam painting tool when it comes to your right and left clicks. Now, If I wanted to, I can use my triangles here, and the same thing, if I use my left click, it's going to get rid of them. And I can also click here, erase painting. Now, the last thing is our fill paint bucket tool. I can go through here, and I'm just going to select some of these faces here. And I'm going to select some of those. And just go around here, and I want to make my benchy looking cool. So I'm thinking about doing all of the trim in fuzzy. And let's see what that looks like. Let's bring this down a bit. Okay, so now I have this all painted. I wanted to get all the trim painted and see what it's going to really look like. So now that we have that, I'm going to go ahead and get return right here in the top left. Now I'm going to go back to my normal mode, and we've got our two little benchies. This one has fuzzy all over, and now this one is painted to have fuzzy on it. So let's go ahead and slice it. And we can see we've got this cool little texture along the borders. So I think what I'm going to go ahead and do and print this on my A1 Mini. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and send this to the printer and see what it looks like. I think this is like a rainbow filament, so I'm kind of curious to see what this is going to look like. So there we go. That's sending it off, and let's go ahead and jump to the future to see what these look like. All right, so I got them off the build plate, and here is the one that is all fuzzy skin, 100%. It's a little bit stringy, but a heat gun would take care of this, but this is right off the build plate. And then you can see the one where we've painted it, and all of the edges have this cool little texture, and honestly, this filament turned out really good with the sparkle. I really like how it reflects when the fuzzy skin. But overall, I think it's a pretty cool feature, and I can't wait to use it more. Picking colors just got a whole lot easier. Bambu Studio now shows official color palettes for their filaments, and if you're using an AMS with RFID, the filament names automatically display in your settings. No more guessing between similar shades. The preview in Studio finally matches what you're actually printing. Now here's how it shows up when you're setting up your prints in Bambu Studio. All right, so color selection just got a whole lot more accurate, especially if you are using Bambu Lab filament. So first, let's go ahead and select our filament. And I'm going to go ahead, come down here to my Bambu Filaments, scroll down to TPU 90A, because I just got a spool of this. So I'm going to click on that, and what I have is the red to white gradient. And when we click on the little color right here, we can see that now we have all of the colors that Bambu puts out for this specific filament. So I have this blaze right here, and if I click that, now you can see that there's an actual gradient right there, which is kind of amazing. So now if you just click OK, now you can see that your filament is going to be representative of what is actually in your 3D printer. Now, this doesn't just apply to like this TPU. So if we go to any of our basic filaments or anything like that, we can see we have a very large color selection now because these are all the colors that they put out for this basic filament. So you can switch between any of these colors. And also, if you wanted to get another color and add it in there, you can click on more colors like you've always been able to and select that and click OK, and there you go. So you can still do that. Now, the one thing is I really hope in the future that they put this out to everything. Like, give us a lot more color options. I don't like that it's only for Bambu Lab filaments, but we got to start somewhere, I guess. And honestly, all of this time, I am shocked that we're just now getting to gradient filament colors. Because, I mean, I print a lot of rainbow filaments, and there is no generic rainbow filament like color choice. So I always have to select some weird color and just remember that that's the color. So Bambu Lab, if you're watching this, please just give us a generic rainbow color selection. But the other thing is if you come into your just generic and you hit PLA, you can still just go through and select whatever color you want, just like you've always been able to. Now, the other thing that I've noticed, that it will automatically do this when you put it in your AMS with the reader, with the RFID. But you can't go in manually and select these colors. You can only do it here in Bambu Studio, is what I've noticed so far. But all in all, this is a step in the right direction to be able to get some more custom colors when it comes to our filament choices in our AMS. And that's just the first half of what's new in Bambu Studio 2.2. In the next video, I'll cover the rest of these awesome features that have come to this new upgraded software. So if you want to see those, make sure that you catch part 2 when it comes out. Also, if there's a specific update that you'd like me to go deeper on, let me know in the comments, and I might even make a full video just on that specific topic. And as always, I wish you a great day, and I'll go ahead and I'll see you in the next video right here.